Hi class, Dr. Sands here. I wanted to take a minute to go over your upcoming assignment, which is Leadership Challenge Analysis and Memo. All right, well, let's get started. Summary. Every organization should have a written policy on ethical standards that employees are expected to follow. And that's true. It's very important. And every company I've worked for has. These ethical standards, which include confidentiality, of certain information, dealing with customers and colleagues fairly, commitment to organization's mission and vision, and the empowerment of employees to report ethical violations are just some of the ethical standards that need to be consistently communicated throughout the organization. Leaders must demonstrate constant vigilance to ensure that their organizational ethical standards are never compromised. Very important. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the instructions here. Assignment instructions. Analyze the following leadership challenge. Assume you are the president and chief executive officer of a Fortune 500 company. Now, Fortune 500 company means a large publicly traded company that has experienced several very public ethical lapses in judgment and action that have affected not only your organization's reputation in the community, but resulted in declining sales in the marketplace. To address this situation, as your organization's leader, you have decided to communicate to your employees the ethical standard, moral precepts, and Christian values that will underpin the actions and behaviors of the organization from this day forward. So that's setting the stage, okay? Then write a formal memo to your employees that address the challenge, okay? Using Loom, and again, this is what I'm recording here today. I'm using Loom. Create a video of yourself introducing the memo. So you want to, of course, write the memo first and use it as your backdrop, as I'm using the instructions as a backdrop. And then you will introduce that to the company. All right. So let's continue. Use charts and graphics with findings from your textbook and other outside scholarly sources to address the following. Your appraisal of how ethics, morals, and Christian values affect, influence, and impact an organization, and how an organization with a strong commitment to ethical conduct, moral reasoning, and Christian values can succeed in a marketplace and or world where some, if not many, may not appreciate or support these standards. Okay, so let's pause there for a minute. All right. So your appraisal of how ethics, morals, and Christian values affect, influence, and impact an organization. So that right there is because that's a to do. Then you and impact an organization and how an organization with a strong commitment to ethical conduct, moral reasoning, and Christian values can succeed in the marketplace. Okay, so um, the idea is you're setting you're the CEO, so you're setting your company aside, saying, we we have strong Christian values, strong moral ethics. Okay, and then so then it says values succeed in a marketplace and or world where some, if not many, may not appreciate or support these standards. So it'd be probably like the world today. There's a lot of non-entities that don't follow Christian, obligations. Okay, so it's important when you write it and deliver it that you're not you're not trying to appeal to the masses, to the world, because we know that the world and the masses probably don't appreciate the Christian obligation. So you want to emphasize that. Okay, so bullet point number 2, a real world example of organizational leadership that has lapsed in terms of its ethical, moral, and Christian obligations, and other real world example of an organization that has advanced as a result of ethical, moral, and Christian commitment. So that's both sides of the coin, right? Christian commitment that didn't succeed. Real organizations that lapse. Oh, okay, that lapse in the terms of ethical, moral, or Christian obligations. So one that lapsed. Okay, so it didn't follow that. And another real world example of organizations that had advanced. Okay, one that lapsed, one that advanced. Okay. Third bullet: 2 ethical, 2 morals, and 2 Christian principles that an organization will now expect all employees to follow in relation to their actions and behaviors in the workplace. I think that's self-explanatory. Bullet number 4: include a new initiative, okay, on how the organization will assess how employees will be trained and evaluated on these principles, along with the repercussions for those that choose not to adhere to the principles. Okay, so basically, it's you're going to write yourself a new policy and what those morals, ethical, and Christian values are. And that new initiative on how the organization will assess. So what are the ethical, moral, Christian values? And then the fourth bullet is how will you assess that? And then how will you penalize people for not following the rules? Identify a plan on how these new principles will be communicated to the organization's customers and how, once implemented, these principles will result in a more dynamic, responsible, and respective organization. So in this assignment, and then it says requirements, word count 1,000 to 1,250. And like I've talked to you before about word count, that's a guide because when you look at the rubric, it's, how well and how your breadth and depth did you analyze and write all this. So, and now your video is 1 to 2 minutes. So you have a APA formatted memo that you're going to submit. Then you're going to do a video 1 to 2 minutes. And so remember, the video is you as the CEO introducing this memo, which is the new policies and procedures on how you expect the company to adhere to these new policies and procedures. Then it says citation requirements 5 to 6, and then APA formatting and plagiarism check. So when you think about writing your paper, okay, so when you reflect back on the sample video the video I created on APA formatting and the sample paper, you have your title page like normal, which is my expanded title page, right? And then you're going to have, when you look at the bullets here, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main sections of your paper, 5 of your body parts, right? You're still going to have your introduction, you're going to have your conclusion, and of course your references, which we know are 5 to 6. You may have here an appendix page as well. Now for this type, and I usually encourage appendices because it's just easier. However, for this assignment, I'd encourage the charts and graphs and things that the assignment's requiring is you put it in the body of your paper, okay? Because remember, you're going to tee it up as a memo that, you're the CEO and it's a memo. So as you kind of scroll down your memo, now you're not going to read every word, right? Because it's a 2-minute video. Let's just say 2-minute video, and you can introduce yourself, what the problems are, and then have your paper as the backdrop, like I have here and then scroll down and hit some of these key points, right? And remember, you're the CEO, so you're the champion for your company. You're the champion for these improvements, all right? So title page, introduction, your five core, five body pieces, and conclusion. So when you think about the body pieces, you'll have your level 1 headers, and you're going to have some level 2 headers as well. So if you need a refresher, watch my video, like the sample papers. And so I'd say maybe the first section is just appraisal. That's your level 2 header, appraisal. Introduce what what the appraisal is about, and then you'll have some level 2 headers that go into detail on the appraisal. So let's look at your second main section. You could just call real world examples. Remember, because your level 1 headers, you don't want more than 4 or 5 words, So number 2, real world examples. Little introduction on what you're talking about, and then level 2 headers, boom, boom, boom. Let's say the third bullet, you could just call it ethical, moral, and Christian principles. Boom. And then again, introduction, slide introduction, write about it. Your your fourth section, include a new initiative on how the organization will assess how employees will be trained and evaluated. So you could say ethical values, a new ethical values initiative, something like that. And then follow suit like the others, and then identify a plan on how these principles will be communicated. So then your last one, you say a communication plan. And then that way you will have cleanly and succinctly outline the 5 main sections of your paper that will correlate right to what the assignment requirements are, in which then I will, when I grade it, then I could very easily walk through your paper, look at what you wrote, look at the requirements, and then grade appropriately. All right, well, I think that's it. Go ahead and open the syllabus and look at this assignment so you can see how you're going to be graded, because remember, the syllabus rubric is the same as my grading rubric. So it's always good to pop that open and take a look at it. All right. Well, as usual, if you have any questions about this, go ahead and shoot me an email. Then I will respond accordingly, and we can go from there. All right, Dr. Sands, thank you.